God. I'm gonna be able to drive soon. I gotta get some experience somehow, but how? Video games. Alright, I need a game that's somewhat realistic. I'll be able to give me a good experience. Yes, this will do perfectly. Right then, today we're taking a look at Outrun 2019. So here we are, ladies and gentlemen, Outrun 2019 for the Sega Genesis. This game was developed by Sega and a company called Sims, which I've never heard of before, in 1993. Now, this is a console-only sequel to the absolute arcade classic Outrun. And the first thing you're going to notice when playing this game, alright, is the music. Okay, there's not much of it, but what's there is awesome. Every single second of it is awesome. Seriously, it's a great soundtrack. When you start up the game, you get an option to enter in your name. This is like a high score thing that I don't think it actually does anything for any of it. You know, there's an option screen, it's just difficulty, sound test, stuff like that. Basic things that don't even really need mention. And in total, there's only about 4 stages in the game. Well, there is only 4 stages in the game. Level 1, which is called Metropolis. Level 2, which is called Temples and Ruins. Level 3, Around the World. Number 4, Into the Sunset. So, yeah, no idea where these level names came from. Don't know what inspired them. Well, other than the first 3, the 4th one, I guess, because it's the last one. But, you know, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Pretty good. So, I guess the first thing you gotta talk about is, well, the HUD, of course. It's essential to any racing game. You can't tell what's going on without it. So, you got a power meter, right? This is kind of a speedometer, but not really, because the speedometer is a separate thing. The power meter goes up exponentially as you go along, right? And after a while, once it fills up, it will go white. Now, this is significant because on the back of the car, there is a booster rocket. Yep, that's right. In the year 2019, we have booster rockets on the back of our cars. God, I wish. Does that make this the 2019 Ferrari something or other? Huh. That'd be a pretty interesting concept. And why is it gray? But, yeah, you know. It turns white, and then you get a turbo boost until you either run into something or let go of the button. Which I should probably have talked about the controls first, but we get to that. We get to that now. It's just your simple sort of console racing game. So, of course, left and right is going to turn you. A is going to brake, B is going to accelerate. Up and down would trigger the shift, but by default, the game is set to automatic. Surprisingly, it's really good, or well, not surprisingly, it's really good in the control area. So, I mean, that's essential to any racing game. If it doesn't control well, it's probably not going to be that fun. There's a timer, that just shows, how much time you've played on the track currently. There's several different routes to each track, and it'll basically, the time will reset at the checkpoint, and eventually at the end, it'll show you how much time you spent on the current track. There's another timer. This one's a countdown timer. Any racing game with checkpoints has this. There's the speedo, as before mentioned, which is pretty much useless, because you'll never be paying attention to it. Ever. But other than that, you have a shift display, which, is unused in the recording because, I didn't change it to manual. So, but whatever, it's really just up and down for 2 different gears. It's the same in the arcade version, so, as you've noticed, the game is 3D. It's not like some of those other 3D games on the Genesis. God, I shiver at it. Just at the thought of those 3D games that run really poorly. Oh, God. But, it's handled pretty well, and I mean, with a racing game, you're obviously either gonna make it 3D or like a, isometric sort of thing. Top down, or, whatever else was possible, I guess. You're not gonna get like a racing text-based adventure game. Now that would be boring. On each of the tracks, there's various road obstacles. It's just stuff you'll encounter along the way. Of course, there are enemy cars, which for the most part serve as an annoyance. Half the time, they just kind of mind their own business. If you get up behind them, they won't get out of your way. There's bridges, which some parts are unavoidable. Like the start of stage 4 is pretty much a bridge, so you gotta go over that. It's not that it's difficult to get through them. It's just sometimes a little too easy to fall off. Because here's the thing, right? When you crash, you respawn, obviously, but there is no, pause, unpause, rad racer trick here. You respawn, you lose time. So really, you just gotta take it slow on the bridges. There's nothing else for it. There's road traps, which I only encountered on one route, and that is what they're called. They're just signs. They don't do anything. You just run into them. There's all this stuff on the sides that you can run into. Like lights, trees, other things. They're kind of weird. They vary for each stage, at least, so that's pretty interesting. But if you hit more than one of them, and in fact, if you hit certain types of these obstacles on the side of the roads, you can actually flip your car or get into a spin out, which will cause you to respawn. There's ramps, which are mostly helpful. Sometimes they'll get you over grass, and sometimes they'll lead you on to different routes. That's that's pretty much it for the road obstacles. Now let's talk about the stages. The first stage is Metropolis. It's your basic, easy, short sort of racetrack, It's not very complicated to get through, and it's pretty easy. It's pretty easy, all things considered. It'll take you a couple of practice runs if you're unexperienced, but don't worry, it's a fairly easy track. Stage 2, Temples and Ruins. It's slightly longer than the first track. There's lots of trees, so be careful for that. So don't go off the road. There's a bridge, so slow down. At least on the route I went. You can go on different routes. Some are easier, some are harder. It's kind of pick your poison. Whatever you want to do. It's not too bad, not too easy, not too hard. It's perfectly fine. Stage number 3, Around the World. This one, you get a ton of different environments, and it's really interesting to see where it goes. There's a lot of turning in this stage. There's a lot of turns. Lots of turns. Braking, you're really gonna need to get used to braking on this track. You're gonna need it for the last stage. You know, it's your standard affair, just a little bit harder. You know how it is. Stage 4. Oh god, stage 4, Into the Sunset. I spent literal hours trying to beat this track, alright? Seriously, it is the hardest track in the game. It's the longest, it's the hardest, and many times I came dang near close to beating it, but then ran out of time because I flipped too early in the stage. It's all about strategy, it's all about learning to play the game perfectly, no matter what. So, it's, you know, it's all about skill and being able to deal with your problems. But, you know, that's just kind of racing games in general. This actually took up most of the recording space, seriously. The first 2 tracks were almost nothing. The third track took up a bit of time, but then this 4th track, ooh, there were too many tries. Just too many. Honestly, it tests everything that you've learned up to this point, and honestly, it just seems to drag on and on and on and on. It just goes on forever. Honestly, it's not terrible, but it just feels way too long. Honestly, it just really does. And the fact that there's no map, unless you win or lose the stage, to tell you, you know, where you are, it can be pretty frustrating to, you know, do a good run and then find out, you know, when you game over that you actually, you know, didn't go as far as you did the previous try. So that's always a little bit annoying. But, you know, it's possible to do. It's very, very difficult, though. I did eventually beat it, so it is possible. After that, you just get credits. Usual, standard credits. Nothing else. It's just like, hey, here's all the people who made the game. No congratulations, no thank you for playing, just here's some credits, now go back to the title screen. That's it. Really. That is all. Overall, though, the game's not bad. It controls well, it plays pretty good, but it's hard. Really, really hard. Seriously. This is like, this is not a novice game at all. Seriously. I was playing it on normal mode, I didn't change the difficulty at all, but I don't think it matters. Outrun does, of course, require practice and skill. So, obviously, the console-only sequel would require practice and skill and all that. So, overall, not a bad game, but I wouldn't recommend it. Well, I'm done here. Hey guys, it's Mike, and welcome to the end slate. Yeah, you know, this is the this is just a bit at the end of the video where I just kind of sit around and talk for a little bit. Figured I'd do this, you know, why not? I don't know. I was bored and I felt like adding some more time to the video. But you just watched the Outrun 2019 video that I made. This was actually supposed to come out in mid-May, but that didn't happen because we were hampered by a couple of thunderstorms that were pretty bad last month. And well, now it's June, and you know, stuff's kind of been busy. You know, end of the school year stuff. It's been a busy couple of weekends. But anyway, I finally got around to finishing this now, and you know, I liked Outrun 2019 very much. But yeah, that last track can oh, it was bad. It was really bad, and yeah, the compression rate really just went down right there at the end. These things happen. But, you know, if you want to see some more, you know, like, subscribe, all that. In the last shot, you probably saw over my shoulder that I had a bunch of games out on the shelf. If you guys wanted any specific games to be talked about in the future, so I put some up. You'll go ahead, vote in the comments, all that, and I upload sporadically. It's one thing I hate about myself, but here we are. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.